And then we'll go live on here. So
hey guys!
Hey guys, how you going?
We are here today with the wonderful Louise.
Louise.
Jesus Louise.
Louise. Marie Louise. You can call her Louise or Marie. We're going to be talking about the Evolve Institute. And we're going to be talking about goal setting.
Very excited about the goal setting. Very excited about our conversation with this self-awareness queen over here.
Marie.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, and just good to be back in the studio.
Oh my gosh,
again.
I missed you last week. I missed you.
I was in the studio last week playing some conversations from abroad, which was awesome.
I heard.
But it's it's not live. It's not like whatever happens sort of scenario, and that's what I missed about it. The ad-lib. So
you
we're
being
back.
goofy and fun and
us being goofy, me more being goofy. You're just pulling me in a little bit, which is the perfect connection. So ready to do this?
Yeah, we're ready. Okay,
Yep.
Marie, you step forward.
I will move
And
into the center.
I'm gonna go move right here.
How good's this?
It's
Do you wanna do this?
beautiful.
Very
Look,
good.
it's a bit dark. I wonder why we're dark. See, I'm normally behind the camera. Hi guys! You can see us now, can't you? There we go.
So what I'll do, Sheena, I'll do this. You do the soundbite. You want to do the
Oh
soundbite?
yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Tell me when.
I'll let you know when. Hold on.
Got the vibes in the radio
We got Marie
station.
dancing.
Ready to go?
Yeah. Okay.
3, 2, 1,
Oh,
go.
wait. Oh.
You did it? I don't know if you did it. I didn't come to the radio show. We're on.
Oh, we're on.
We're on anyway.
You.
Well, anyway, that was an introduction what we tried to do with the Bondi Radio.
Jingle. The jingle's not going.
The jingle's not going. We have to do our own jingle. Okay.
Broadcasting from the world famous
Bondi Beach.
Beach. Donna.
Yeah, that's it. G'day, guys and girls. There we go. That was a good one. I was like, g'day, ladies and gents.
Hello.
This is Liam Zollo, and this is the Weekend Wellness Show, and I'm with my awesome co-host Sheena Alexandra, live down on this beautiful Bondi Beach. We're back.
You
We're back. We've got a lovely guest here, Jeez Louise. We're getting in the microphone. We've got Marie Louise down here, the self-awareness queen. Is that what we can call you?
We can do that for today.
We can do that for today?
Yes.
And we'll
why
change
not?
tomorrow.
Oh,
And we've
I get
had-
called many things, so may as well run with whatever you're dishing out today.
Have you ever, so you said you've had your coffee fix this morning.
Yes, I have.
So does that mean we're going to get a great conversation from you today?
Let's hope so.
Because I've
Let's
had
see if I've
one
got
coffee.
rises in this
I
coffee.
know. Look, when we first met, we met like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Sheena actually thought that we've known each other for such a long period
Yeah,
of
I
time.
know, it's so
and it's
weird.
just that she has this presence
She
about her.
does.
As soon as she comes in, she's like your best friend straight away.
Welcoming. I know.
Well, very
I feel
welcome.
like I've known you for a long time, and I'm really excited for this chat as well.
Very excited.
Marie's doing awesome things with nurses and students and corporations. She's helping one of the biggest startups here in Sydney, Atlassian.
Wow.
You're helping.
Well, we have worked with Atlassian,
Yeah. I think that kind of shows how awesome you are and the work that you're doing. So let's, should we dive in and
Dive in. I don't know anything about you, Marie, so let's just dive into what you do.
Yeah.
How are you a self-awareness queen?
Well, it's a pretty big title, isn't it?
own it, girl.
Own it.
Yeah, I know, I'm owning it. Well, we've got a company, which is Evolve Yourself Institute, and we teach self-awareness, which develops emotional intelligence, all of the aspects of your inner technology, how your brain works, reconnect to your body, understand emotions, how to use them, not let them use you.
Exactly
And
right.
so we play out, I suppose, awareness on an internal... you discover your internal genius, really. And so supporting people to tap into that more often. You know, so that's what we share, and we specifically have 2 funnels. 2 of them, one going to the teachers and one going to the nurses. And as a ripple, I think that they're going to be really powerful ripples.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you teach? Okay, first of all, do you teach them
Yeah.
both the same curriculum, or are they different because they're different institutions?
Well, fundamentally, self-awareness is self-awareness, and it just gets languaged a little bit different. The audience is very similar. They're both working in service. They both know how to give of themselves so much to their external world, and too often no idea how to give to themselves. And if you can't fill up your own cup, you will have nothing to give. Something will forego. So wherever you're genetically predisposed, it will rise, that illness, if you're not listening to yourself. So it could be mental health issues, it could be heart issues, it could be, you know, any of your glands, your central nervous system screws over, you've got your stomach, you know, you hear it all the time. But we want to support people really living in their power and hearing their voice of their heart and listening to that voice, you know, rather than this one. This one, like, can spin so many stories.
So many stories.
Are you kidding?
So many. It's spinning stories now.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you saying? Like?
What am I saying? So I want to know what self-awareness is.
Yeah.
So it's just a simple question, but it's a broad term. It's like, you know, is it the same as explaining what health is? Is that how broad it is, or is it so simplified that you can explain it in a couple of sentences?
Well, I don't know about explaining a couple of sentences.
Yeah, probably.
However, self-awareness is understanding your inner functionings and also understanding your emotions, understanding where you react to life, understanding how your brain works even. You know, you've got these tools in this radio station. Fabulous. Now, if you didn't know how to use them, they would be meaningless to you. They would be crazy. And we are born with this incredible brain. And too often we're just like being dictated by it.
Yeah.
We're dictated by our emotions. And so with self-awareness, you're able to understand where your emotions rise, use emotions to serve you.
Yeah.
Understand how your brain works so you can create patterns that serve you.
And with the patterns, so patterns is an interesting one, right? So what about, you know, our previous experiences? Are they the ones that causing our patterns from our past? And then can we break those patterns? Is it just like the same as calling a pattern a habit? And is it just breaking those habits or setting new habits that serve us? Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
so there's a play out in that. You know, so everyone's firing and wiring to the beat of their past. So they're kind of like, we call those guys rivers of response, neural to body pathways. And they fire and wire. And then how we see the world is based upon those patterns. And so they could be when you're a kid, a 6-year-old, a guy gets 3 marbles, you only get 2, and now you're seeing the world view as the world gets more than you do.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's a pattern based upon your past. The majority of those patterns have been created by the time you're 6 years of age.
Wow.
So we've got a bunch of 6-year-olds walking around perceiving life.
I want my marbles. I've lost my marbles.
Yes. And you're right. And when you think that from an early age, the world is bigger than me, and they constantly think it, then they're going to get things that are bigger than them. And so they're almost visualizing and creating this false story.
Yeah. Well, it's not the reality of this. The reality of this, I'm sitting in this room with you two guys. I have the ocean at my fingertips. And the sky is cloudy. It's a beautiful day within that. But too often we can be spinning in our head, right? And we're worried about what we did yesterday. We're so fearful about what we're going to be doing tomorrow that we can't even experience this. And just by reconnecting to this incredible tool, like this instrument, our body, we're able to really experience life in this moment. I get the gift of being here with you, and I can. It is a gift, right?
Well, she gets it. When my shoulder pat, I don't get a shoulder.
She was saving the best for last.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Exactly right. I'm just waiting for that shoulder shrug there.
I know.
You're right, though. A lot of times, and I was talking to Jeff Jowett about this weekend, is just being present in the moment and appreciating what is. And a lot of the times we get frustrated and angry for stuff that we make up in our head that is actually not real. It's the ego creating false stories. And when you really think about what happens in the real present time, nothing angry happens. It's it's always, for me, it's always a pleasant experience.
Yeah, exactly right. And so I completely agree. And so how do we make or set these new patterns? Is it through, is it like, because I've heard it's through meditation. And meditation and hypnotherapy, in my mind, are quite similar. Yeah. If you look at it, if you're talking to your subconscious mind, then they're quite similar. So are those the main tools that you help people with the patterns, or is it other little strategies that you can share without giving too much away?
Oh no, I want to share it.
You want to share it? Go.
Of course. This whole, we've created what's called system of self. And so within the system of self, there are 5 pillars. One of the pillars is meditation. So meditation used as a tool allows all of the rubbish to sit. It's like having a snow globe. You shake up the snow globe and you've got all the words and thoughts and the patterns and the conditionings of our past spinning in our heads. And then when you have a meditative state, you're able to really allow those snowflakes to fall down, right? And what is left there is incredible space. So that opens the doorway to new patterns, to new awarenesses. And then we have body awareness. So reconnecting to this sensory body. I was so disconnected in my own life to my own body based upon my past. It served me in my past to be disconnected, but it doesn't serve me to live a full and happy life today.
Yeah.
What do you mean by disconnected? How were you disconnected?
Unconsciously.
Yeah. Okay.
So my patterns were so deep and entrenched that those feedbacks kept me not sensing and seeing what is.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were those patterns?
Safe.
What are those patterns though? Is it something like we're not good enough? Is that a pattern?
Absolutely.
Or is it like
so
me biting my nails? Is that a pattern?
Of
That a
course.
pattern leaving how I'm watching my left side? Like, are those all patterns?
They sure are. And you can look at patterns that you're conscious of and then the majority you're unconscious of.
Yeah.
So the majority of patterns we don't even know that we're being dictated by. And so they're the fears, our unconscious self-doubt. They are limiting our existence of this. And they're limiting the growth of the experience of the experience. And I say, let's dance with the whole experience. Let's experience this incredible tool.
Yeah.
Let's understand this tool. Let's use our emotions. And when you practice different practices, that ability for that rises. And so that's very powerful.
I don't think I have a problem with showing my emotions. I'm Italian, so that's an easy thing for me to do. To show my emotions, wear my heart on the sleeve. So some of the patterns that we need to be aware of, though.
Speaking of patterns, did you press play? Did you press record?
Yeah, of course we press record.
I don't see it on the screen.
Just relax. I've got it handled.
Okay.
She gets so worried. That's a pattern. That's a pattern there.
It is a pattern.
A pattern, not. Listen, I've got my marbles.
Okay.
I know what I'm talking about.
So glad, Liam.
I've had 3 marbles as a kid. The other kid had the 2.
Standing over here and looking at the screen without the little thing
Look,
going
do you want
up
me to
like
show
that.
you mid-conversation?
Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're getting all this.
There
See,
you go. It's all recording.
I'm sorry. That's my fault.
That's okay.
I stirred up anger in the studio.
No.
Because I believed something that
passion coming from our voices. That's what it is.
That's
it's okay.
Sorry, Marie.
No,
Go
it's
on.
so good.
I just want
Jeez Louise, Sheena. Jeez Louise.
Good. Do you know how many times in the past that Liam forgot to press the button?
Well, I can't not confirm or deny that these actions have happened in the past, Marie.
No,
all I can see is that that was a previous pattern and I'm working on a new one.
Right here, right
now. We broke it.
Yeah.
So what I get fascinated about is the subconscious mind. You know, so it's what you were saying before, to have that clear subconscious mind, but is it always have to be meditation? And even do you think that, like, even with meditation, I don't know if this is going too down the rabbit hole, but even when we meditate, like I was doing the meditation thing for about 3 months, and then I felt so good doing it, and then I stopped doing it. And I felt like I was stopped doing it because I was just doing it in the same position, same time frame, same thing, and that became a pattern itself. You know what I mean? So
I do.
What do you do in that situation? Do you still just do you still just go to the same spot, close your eyes, do the same process to make it that pattern, or is it better just to go change your environment, for example?
There's no right or wrong in that situation,
no right or wrong.
right? There's no right or wrong. What arises is that the beingness is what you want to play out. So being in that position, if you are truly there, it is never the same.
Yeah. Exactly
okay,
right.
so the change of the beingness is always happening. We're just not aware of it. Our conscious mind is conscious of the feedbacks. Yeah. And so when you're truly present, there is no 2 moments that are the same. And so just trusting that the neuroscience or the technology or the ancient wisdom had something worth sharing. That practice is a tool. And so my advice to you is to keep playing because it's a golden nugget.
Yeah.
And so then movement, you say, is there only one way of, discovering more of yourself? No, it isn't. It's a cognition. We take movement, for example. I could have awarenesses, and then bringing it to life through the cognition of the instrument of this body took action. Yeah, it took a step. And sometimes I saw how dictated by fear I was. I was so dictated by fear. I look it down the barrel and I can feel my breath. So we use breath as a tool. And so we allow the breath to go all the way down to the tummy. And then you go, what am I going to do with you? And really looking that fear. And so then that fear became my fuel. And sometimes it would shake my legs. Sometimes I'd be shaking in my face. But each time was a process of breaking down the cognition of the old patterns.
Yeah.
And that was through the instrument of the body. We think that our mind is so separate to our body. However, our mind is our body and our body is our mind.
Exactly right.
And so when we integrate the two and see the interconnectedness of those things and align not only your mind, your body and your emotions, you will have flow in expression. And that is where your experience of life is able to really be, I suppose, flourish. It flourishes because you're here, you're experiencing absolutely through the instrument of this. This is an incredible tool. It's picking up on trillions of bits of information in every millisecond. And if you were truly there for it, are you kidding? And then so that's where, you know, you sit here and you're as incredibly curious about different people's worlds, and that curiosity was founded as a child. That childlike curiosity is part in each and every one of us, but we lose it. We lose it as a conditioning within our society's constructs, and no longer are we curious. We do the same patterns, and then something has to give. And so, yes.
Who learns faster? Who learns faster?
An open mind.
Children or adults?
An open mind. So
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So
you know
there is an open mind learns. So,
but that's why children are more curious, as you're saying, curious beings. So then they pick up more. Obviously, they haven't got the frontal lobe. They haven't had that. Developed. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, they're more curious people, as you're saying. You know, so they're like, they're just willing to take more information on board. They're not dictated by previous experiences which are blocking them.
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and so our fears and our unconscious states have end up dictating our adult life. And so, our focus being with the nurses and the teachers is that what we're seeing in society today is incredible dis-ease. So we have a lot of stress, burnout, anxious. You know, where Western culture is the most, we're flourishing in everything we have, and yet we look to be the most unhappy. You take teenagers, you have high rates of teenage suicide. You've got people who are burning out and living incredibly unhappy lives. You know, my beautiful mother has suffered bipolar, and in the experience of that she was so focused on looking after her beautiful 8 children that she did not fill her own cup. And so when I look at the teacher community or the nursing community, I see those patterns. What's going to happen when that it's not sustainable? And it isn't sustainable now. So empowering teachers and empowering those 2 vocations it's a gift. I love it. It's wow, when people realize their own ability to have regulation over their emotions, it gives a sense of responsibility, and not response where it's weight, but the ability to respond. And you go, yes, are you kidding me? You can be that pebble when you walk into the classroom, and that will ripple. That empowerment ripples. And so you say, bring that on. And how is it that we can do it? So you take on different practices. Be curious. You might have to I say there's 2 types of people who are hungry for this kind of information, and they are people who are searching for excellence, or people who have hit a pain point. And for me, it was pain. And so someone else is in the pursuit of excellence. And so those 2 doorways are still great doorways. And I go, bring it on. Yeah. But I don't think we have to wait anymore. With what we know, within the neuroscience, what we know within positive psychology, what we understand within human behaviour, and then personal experiences being heard, like this. You know, now we don't have to wait. We can turn on the radio and we can
It's
learn.
turned on.
Yeah, we can learn. And that's exciting. I find it incredibly beautiful.
First of all, are you, do you speak on stage? Because you've got an incredible energy behind your words, and it's so passionate.
Esther Hicks.
Yeah, you sound like
She's been taken over by another source.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, how do you teach somebody that is unaware of this? You know, when you were saying you were unaware of your self-awareness. How do you not wake up, but how do you connect these unaware people to themselves?
That's a good question as well. And before she answers that, because if you think about the first step to transformation is awareness, but how do you get to that point of awareness?
Yes.
So there's a pre-step to that one.
That is. And
exactly
is it just curiosity, like you were saying, curiosity to be a better person or to strive for excellence?
And it can be that,
Yeah.
or it could be the pain.
Yes.
Okay. Now, because dis-ease is in society so brutally, with anxious and there's so many people saying, I want an answer. Okay, now everyone has this internal wisdom in each and every person. Each and every one of us have this wisdom, but we've forgotten it. And so there's certain practices that you can do that will re-engage with that. So whether you're in meditation supports throwing down the building blocks of your mind's eye and your cognitive spaces. Movement shakes up the shit that you've got going down, that you've experienced in your past.
Yeah.
So movement allows that. Our next pillar is breath. The breath, modifying your breath in this moment, gives you the ability to just shape up your wiring and firing. And it allows your central nervous system to work at its optimum. So imagine every child taking on practices that actually allow their awareness to exist and create in the process of creation. How beautiful. That's empowerment itself. And so I say, why isn't it that these practices aren't integrated within the school? What are you going to do about that, Marie? Okay, let's go and have fun and teach the educators, empower the educators.
Yes.
Teachers are under the most stress. They've got push, pull, you must, it's paperwork. Why is it that they joined the vocation? Is because they want to teach. Now, it's not another subject. It's understanding why is it you want to play with these practices, integrate it within their already system, and then watching the incredible fruits of that. There's fruit in that. And that's powerful. And so I love it. And I go, imagine, I'll never forget when I was writing my book, imagine if everyone knew this. Imagine if everyone, and then it becomes like a thing you want to share, right? Because you found like a little golden nugget and you go, ooh. But
popcorn
really,
moment.
it's a popcorn moment.
Yeah.
And, when I looked at my own self-sabotage, my own self-loathing, my own masks of my own conditioning, they were limiting, they were strangling my life experience, and really re-engaging with this internal space, I found dimensions that I never knew existed. Now, I used to be in the drilling game, so I was very far away from what I'm doing.
What do you mean you're in the drilling game?
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean?
So I was in the mining industry for 22 years, And so the transformation that took place in the process of realizing a more liberated state of life became the gift in which now I share. And now what we share within Evolve Yourself Institute. And I have beautiful people around me, and I love what I do, and I love it. My business partner, she's a gold nugget, and everyone I experience life with, I'm blessed. I go, pinch me. Yeah. Really?
So I'm just thinking about this pattern of, the quote that comes up, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Can you because you're in here, you're smiling, got this abundant, everything's about prosperity, passion.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when you entered from mining or mining into what you're doing now where you felt like you were down or anything like that and you had to fake it, or has it always been the case? and it becomes from internal first, from meditation, and then it's expressed out external. Does that make sense?
And
yes, it does.
Can I just, on top of that, I think what it is that you're giving 100% in this moment right now. It's almost like everything that you have in your body, mind, and spirit is right here, right now. And I think that is what is showing, because you're both feeling this. And so I guess on top of that question that Liam has, I mean, is that's what's happening, is you're waking yourself up and using every moment to...
I think what happened, my faking was what my experience was before.
Okay.
My faking was my phony, was the incredible masks which clouded my authentic self. And so all of my fears, all of my shame, all of my guilt, all of the things, I knew how to smile. You know, that was the mask in which I wore. That was brilliant, you know, like, yeah. But inside, I was in so much dis-ease, and it was incredible. It was unconscious disease. And then, yes, there was a pivotal moment of the darkest period of my life. And then that which rose in the pain and suffering of that was an awareness that was so vast, and then cognifying that awareness, then bringing it to this. And what it took was actually being more so in this. And so when I realized I was so contracted in my body, I would feel. And we have this practice within our system, and it's squeeze, feel. So it's squeeze, feel, and heal. So when you squeeze your body and you feel your body, you're able to be here right now. So my son, he's a muso, and he's got a lot of people pushing and pulling in all different directions. And so he'd squeeze his hand, feel his hand, and then he was there. And then he was there. And so there were micro moments of presence. And so you go, okay, presence is where my freedom is. How do I practice that? And then there's a little tool, right? So you go, it's no bigger than that. Doesn't have to be bigger than that.
Yeah, that's it. I like that one. And that just brought up something from me from years back, what I used to do when I used to play rugby league. Sounds funny. I didn't squeeze my hands. I used to just look at my hands before I used to go out and play like the highest. Excuse my calluses, by the way. I'm trying gymnastics. Anyway, no one knows about that one outside. But instead of squeezing my hands, I used to just look at them and go, these got me here. And I'm in the best position I've ever been in my life, and thank God for these hands. It's saying to thank God for my whole body.
Absolutely.
So, what I'm saying in that situation, it's good to have those little tools to have that essence of presence.
Yeah.
You know, at that moment, you know, to be present.
That anchoring is a game changer. And so when you look at your hands and you're purely there for your hands, you can't be anywhere else. Now, as an athlete, an athlete's looking for a state of flow. Now, that flow does not rise in the head. It rises in releasing of any type of thought about you.
Yeah.
And it's in allowance. That allows the flow of what your body already knows what to do. When you're training off the field, you are gaining a little bit of mastery, right? So you've got like that repetition. When you allow your body to do what it's born to do, well then genius rises.
Exactly.
And you go, boom!
Yeah.
That's amazing. So what a beautiful gift you gave yourself when you looked at your hands.
But I stopped doing it.
High five you. Well, bring it back.
I'm bringing it back. Right now. You girls talk, I'm just going to sit here and look at my hands. I'm going to look at my hands.
Can we talk a little bit about the subconscious mind? Because I have a little story that is quite powerful. I was going out a couple weekends ago, and I decided to take Uber for the first time. I've driven for Uber, but I've never taken it personally. So I took Uber for the first time, and I carried a new purse, and I carried the present that I was bringing and my keys in my hand, and I sat into the Uber, and I was not comfortable at all. And I was really unsure why I was not comfortable, but I wasn't, and I was nervous and I was anxious. And normally when I leave the house, I have this check that I do. I've got the keys, I turned off everything. So I did this check, and I said, I got my keys, I got the present, I turned off everything, but I was still not comfortable. Yeah. And I don't know, I ignored my uncomfortableness. I got out of the cab, went to the party, came home, and realized that I didn't have my keys in my purse. And I realized that I left them in the Uber. And I cried myself to sleep that night because I didn't listen to myself. I didn't spend 30 seconds of being present and checking and And I just realized at that moment that my subconscious was trying to tell me that my keys were not in my bag, which is a repetitive thing that I do when I leave the house. Yeah. Do I have my keys? Do I have my keys? So it's such a powerful tool. Yeah. And I felt bad for not listening to myself, because if I had sat there for just 30 seconds of just being calm and just checking to see if I had everything, I would have noticed that I didn't have my keys in my purse, and I would have put my keys in my bag. Yeah. But I didn't do that, and I ignored myself. And so I was really upset about that. But I just want to talk a little bit about the subconscious. How come it's so powerful?
Because it knows.
Yeah.
So you have patterns which are unconscious, but your intuition, when you really tap into this voice, and I point here because it's out of this, right? And that voice of the heart is incredibly powerful, and it knows stuff. But we don't hear it, because this is going on and all of the other stuff is going on. So the more you tap into yourself, the more you're able to hear that voice, and you will trust it. It gets louder and louder. No longer, you can use your logic and reason, we've got an incredible tool in our mind. We're able to utilize it to write lists. We're able to create things. We're able to have conversations. However, when you tap into a deeper state, you're able to allow all your bigger mind to work. You've got masses of information which is just oozing to experience itself through you, and allowing that experience to rise gives your life experience a more fulfilled life experience. And so they're very deep concepts, but we all have that availability. And
sorry, I was just going to say, is it it goes really deep now. Is it our subconscious, or is it our soul or our spirit?
Yeah.
Where's the difference?
That's a really great question.
Where's the difference between how we know whether it's our subconscious and listen to our subconscious mind, which is just knows already, or it's our spirit?
So you look at all the dimensions of being human, and so we put it into 4 categories of emotional, psychological, physical, and spiritual. So all of those aspects of the dimensions of being human are you. Yeah? And so the more you tap in to more you, the more you're able to align all of those aspects. And so it won't be a question of is it, isn't it? It's a knowing.
Yeah.
And that knowing rises. Do I believe this table is here? No, I know this table is here. And so when you know something, there is no question then. It's that knowing voice rises.
Yeah.
And so whether you put it in a frame of a soul expression, spiritual expression, all of those spaces of the package in which it's been expressed is still you. And we just like to put things in boxes. That's what our logic and reason mind loves to do, We put it in a parcel. Yeah. But to simplify things, aligning all aspects of you and experiencing all of you takes different practices to remember. And presence is the best thing that you could do for yourself. So how is it that you practice presence when we're so conditioned to think? We take every thought we have so seriously. Don't you worry, your mind is going to think. Yeah? That's what it's there for. That's the great gift of the mind. But when you allow it to calm down a little and not take thoughts so seriously, you will choose thoughts that serve you. I say, does this thought serve me? If it doesn't, I'll look at it, give it a smile and say, boom, look the other way. And so there are certain thoughts that you can be spinning in. I take a breath, where do I feel it, let it go, and then move on. So that's what self-awareness is. You become aware of different aspects of yourself. Yeah. You become aware of your inner technology. You're understanding how you work. How beautiful to know how an instrument works. Then you've got the availability to use it. If I didn't know what this cup was, I wouldn't know I could fill it with coffee. I wouldn't be able to use it. And we are being used by the inner spaces of our experience all the time. How many times do you run down a rabbit hole of emotional disease? What's happening in your body when you're doing that, right? What's happening? You're creating stress. Stress is distress. Yeah? Disease. So dis-ease is disease.
You know what dis means?
What?
I learned this off a workshop me and Stacey went on. We learned a lot of valuable lessons there, and he comes in and says, dis is I think it's a Latin for duo. So if you put yourself in dis-ease, it means you're splitting into two. You're not at one. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
nice.
it's like you're dishonest.
Yeah.
It's because you've been dishonest. There's not the truth. The truth is at one. Yeah. Dishonesty is two.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, so you've got the dualistic space.
It's a dualistic. It's a duo space. So if you're speaking about being dishonest, that's where it comes from. The truth will set you free, right? So if you're being dishonest, that's why you got to tell the truth.
Yeah.
If you've been in dis-ease, you got to put yourself at ease by putting yourself back at one, which you keep talking about.
Yeah.
We've just solved world peace. High five.
Isn't that nice?
High five. What did I just say then? My soul just took over. My soul took over. I want to share with you guys a story about visualization and the power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
I apologise for going on my phone right now, but this is the best way I can show you girls, and I'll paint the picture for people who are listening in. Midweek I put an Instagram photo up. I'm not really an Instagram, I don't really go. That's another thing I want to talk to you about, by the way, is social media, and that's after this one, so it works in quite well. But if you can see this photo on stage, do you know who that is?
No. That's you.
No, that's not me.
Oh.
I wish it was me. It's Tony Robbins.
Yes. Look at his audience.
Yeah, Tony Robbins is a guy. He's on stage in front of about 10,000 people. Tony Robbins is what is he, a self-development guru?
Yeah.
So he was on stage. I'm like, wow, I've always wanted to be on stage. But like, I put myself out there and I go, I want to be Tony Robbins. So I put it up on the wall, visualization. And I looked at it every day. But I didn't only look at it, I listened to good music when I was looking at it every day. Probably looked like a weirdo if any one of my flatmates came in. Like, what the hell are you looking at a picture for on the wall? But I kept looking at this photo up on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Of Tony Robbins. I'm like, I want to be on stage. So I try to go into, doing things on stage in terms of goal setting and try to be like Tony Robbins, but it didn't work. So I had like 5 people come into I had coffee catch-ups, they were called, for helping people goal set. There was about maybe 20 people in the room max in a cafe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on stage in front of all that many people. And out of nowhere, I've talked to you about this, you've probably heard me many times talk about the world record that I did, but I had so many gold nuggets. But I did a world record, and it's the anniversary of one of them today, three years ago. I think it is. Oh, no, it's in 2 days' time. So it's the anniversary of the world record, that's what I'm talking about. But it started from this photo being on my wall. And then what happens, I'll show you the next photo. It's me on stage, and I didn't know I was going to take that photo.
Yeah.
I didn't know the photographer was taking this photo. Just to paint a picture out there. Tony Robbins has got his arms up in the air, doing what he loves doing, up on stage in front of many, many people. I thought I had to be Tony Robbins in order to get Tony Robbins. But little did I know that if I just stuck to what I love doing, and end up doing a boxing class, which was what I was good at, I was in my much more flow state that we were talking about. I wasn't chasing goal setting and strategizing on how, that's what he does. That's what his flow is. To understand that, and then to have a photo of me up on stage 2 years or a year after me doing that, amazing. In front of 454 people, that just shows the power of visualization. And I've shared that on Facebook, on Instagram, not to boast or brag or show anyone how good I am, just to prove to people how much the power of visualization, and not because you keep talking about how you talk about movement and talk about intertwining your mind and body into one. I was listening to music, and I was listening to music that I actually played on stage that day.
Oh wow!
Playing on stage. So all those songs I love to play, end up playing on stage.
Yeah,
it's just funny how that works, how life works, isn't it? Yes. So, what the message is how much is just looking at a photo in visualization is enough, or how do you, not just like music was my thing, just to look at that picture, is there other elements that we could add to help visualization?
And on top of that, when you were saying you were singing and you were visualizing, something happens to your vibration when you're in that flow of music as well. So was it that he was accessing a higher vibration that was able to attract that because he was listening to music and he was in this almost state of flow when he was visualizing it,
The embodiment is right. So when you actually bring in all the sensory awareness everything that you can. Use the tool of music, use the tools of imagery, but you actually create it through your cognitive expression. So when you've got your headphones in, there's certain frequencies in sound, there's certain frequencies in nature. And so when expression is expressing through you, it takes all of the goodies.
Yeah.
So the more you're able to create it within your cognition just here right now, the more the reality is. Now you say you want to be on a world stage. You are on a world stage. You're on the internet. You're on the air.
I'm on the
air
Are you
kidding? And so allowing visualization.
We have millions of listeners that are in.
Exactly.
Mum, Dad, brother, who else? Emily's listeners, 4 listeners. We've got a few from around the world as well. So maybe, world stage. Definitely say world stage.
But for sure.
You're right.
Using those instruments, using the tools.
The thing is that what I was trying to say is that I like the element of faking it till I made it actually happened a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And it was just like, because it made me feel good. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I just want to be on stage. So I was actually not singing. I was just listening to music in my room, watching a photo, and I was actually doing like, all right, guys and girls, this is what we're going to be doing now. But I never actually knew what I was actually going to be talking about. But I was just in. What you're talking about, embodiment.
You lost your marbles, buddy.
I lost my marbles. I'm back to 2 now. I'm not at 3 anymore. That other kid's got one. But it's just funny how those things translated into the physical reality a year later.
Yeah.
I couldn't actually tell anyone that, because if I was telling anyone what I was going to be doing, then they would think I lost my marbles.
Yeah.
But then embodying that, as you keep saying, it's just so important to have that. So just want to share with you.
I love that story.
On the flip side of that, though.
Yes. I want to go there.
Social media.
Yeah.
And looking at posts on social media, if I go to home posts and looking at social media, like I've got fitness page, so it's girls on social media, like looking at people live their life.
Yeah.
It actually has been working in an opposite format.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
So it kind of triggers your own self-doubt.
It's exactly right.
So you're not actually being in you're not developing the cognition of this.
No, but I'm looking at I'm looking at people with but
you're disconnected,
running,
right? You're
but I
disconnected
feel
because
disconnected.
you're only using your eyesight.
Back then, it was a photo on the wall, and I'm looking, and I achieved the purpose. But now, I'm on social media, and like looking at other people doing what they love doing, and there's the element of self-doubt creeps in.
Yeah.
So why? Do we know why?
Yeah, because that's what humans do. So within our brain structure, we will, the fear base, the fear reactive, fight, flight, or freeze kicks in so often. And that fear state keeps us shelled in. Whereas when you're in a more open state, the fear doesn't tap in. Now, that's something meditation will do, is actually shrink a little amygdala, your little fear-based icon that's hunting out all of the fear, and it shrinks it. And so you go, okay, well, if I'm going to be less fearful, well, then I'll say yes to life. I'll say yes to doing those things rather than flipping through your Instagram post.
Just watching everyone else do it.
That's something back with the goal setting. We can develop a goal of creating a purpose in life. But if we're not there for the experience of it, we're just pushing to our grave. And so there's an element of design in the creative process of design, but coming back to the process of the isness. Because there is opportunities that are 1,000 times from this process to the design. Now, if I'm not here for that, well, then I'll miss 1,000, and I'll be going through the slug of whatever that is. And the creation process, if you are truly there for it, you really don't know what is going to rise out of that.
Yeah, exactly right.
And so there's a bit of a design and then allowance.
So so these photos then, social media, is it better just to go back to what I was doing before? Because if I teach people that, like if I speak to, we talked off air that what I do is I'm at Fitness First as a business mentor now.
Yep.
So I teach people, visualize what you want, and I try and tell them the story. I don't probably go into the full picture of what I did, like listen to music and watching a photo and just embodying it as much. But they look at me like, the hell is this guy on? Putting a picture on the wall and looking at it and sharing it.
Yeah.
So is there elements that we can utilize social media in a positive way then, instead of using it in a negative way? Is
It's
it better
like
just to
anything.
It's like moderation.
Anything. Well, not moderation. It's actually ask the question, does this serve me? So when we can get used by these minds, we can get used by technology. If you can use technology as a tool, you're humming. If you can use your mind as a tool, you're humming. You can use emotions as a tool, you're humming. Yeah. If you've got emotion, like I was so dictated by fear, it was like dense as, so sitting, it made me freeze. I was frozen in time. I couldn't speak, believe it or not. So it was frozen in time, so frozen. And then when I sensed where that freezing space was, what my cognitive expression did, and then actually chose to take a step with that, well, then it became fuel. It was so big. Imagine being able to use anger in a space that serves your life. Yeah. That's just energy in motion. And so if I've got a lot of anger in my stomach and I go, what am I going to do with you? Reactive state is to do what you normally do. And that's a pattern too often that doesn't serve you. Yeah. So when you ask the great question, does this serve me? Well, then you'll know your answer. Yeah. So if you ask yourself, and that's where you have your self-awareness, your reflection processes, and you go, does this looking at the Instagram serve me?
Hell no.
Yeah. So
that
really
serves me. Look at how that's awesome. I'd rather look at that in real life moment. It's actually happening in front of my eyes, having a good conversation right now. Yeah. It's we're in the moment. Instagram is just
well, think about your thoughts when you're looking at Instagram. Are you thinking positive thoughts or are you thinking negative thoughts? So when I'm on social media and Facebook, I'm thinking positive thoughts. My 3 words are promote, connect, win. Beautiful. And so my energy behind every post is promote, connect, win. And I'm constantly excited by that action behind my fingertips. But if I was different and I was saying something else, like, oh, that girl is so pretty, why am I not pretty? Or that family is so happy, why am I not happy? And I go into this repetitive state of less, the world is more than me. Well, then it's not serving me at all. So it's using it as a tool, like you say, and putting an intention behind it that is positive. Yeah. And whether that's because you're daydreaming about your future, and this is something that you put an intention to. I want to be like Tony Robbins, so I'm going to post photos of me looking like Tony Robbins. That's a positive intention.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's how you use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So can I ask, Marie, you are obviously very comfortable and knowledgeable about this and using your internal power to benefit your overall holistic life. Experience, yes. Yeah. But it wasn't always like that. No. So how long did it take you to get from that pain point that you had to the breakthrough of using this pain as power and positive power?
Well, positive, it became a state of equilibrium at one point where the isness of existence was my experience. And so I was in it, and it was very liberating. So you ask how long, I'm 50 now, so it's taken 50 years, lifetimes, whatever. Throughout my own experiences of life, I was analysing human behaviour till I was 40. You know, my mother suffered bipolar, so I wanted to fix her. In my darkest state, all of that made sense. And then the realisations of the child sexual abuse for a very long time was withheld within my constructs within my body, and then to actually process that and the power of process. And so if you ask how long, I'm 50. And I think that diving in and diving within constantly is opening up new dimensions of experience. And I'm saying yes to that. And so within saying yes, and that takes a little bit of vulnerability, you know, which is rising, the acceptance of my dark and light of who I am, and allowing people to love I went for a facelift at 25. I couldn't believe it. They looked at me and said, "You've got to be joking." And so they have said that was self-loathing at its prime. You know, that was a girl who was, you know, she was in her element at 25 and wanted everything about herself to change. And so really engaging in self-love, self-acceptance, and allowing the human condition to, you know, just really, I don't know, start morphing into something that's more accepting, more beautiful. When the realization also, I was a very positive person in my persona. So my positivity in persona was my reactive state. And so, but inside, I was broken. wasn't at its essence, but Marie Louise was broken. And so
In
that's
what way?
the disconnect.
What would you define being broken though?
Disconnected.
Disconnected. Okay.
Yeah, disconnected, self-loathing, criticised, judgmental about myself, and that unfolded. And so in the experiences of process, and now allowing an understanding process and understanding the experience of life and just enjoying that for what it is. And that's a transition. It's a liberated state.
And because we talked about having that moment of excellence, or having excellence or pain point. Is there something that you have to be critical of yourself in order to have that excellence, or is it accepting? Is it more of an acceptance thing?
They dance together.
I'm just using my own self as an example, selfishly, because I've been doing weights for about 15 years, right? And now I've gone into gymnastics training that I just mentioned, and my first session was this morning, and I'm like a kid again.
Yeah, how beautiful.
It's an awesome feeling, because I have that essence of curiosity, like, oh, it's okay, I'll sit at the back of the class and not say anything. That type of personality. Not at the front of the class, which I'm being a group fitness instructor for 12 years, so it's just naturally taken the stage as being the thing. But to sit in the background is a new experience for me. Yeah. I come out of there and I'm thinking, I don't have any mobility in myself. I've got to be working on this. Like, that's not good. So how do we have that dance with understanding whether to be critical, or is it more accepting?
Accepting.
You know what I mean?
Accepting that you're not number one.
If we're talking, it's okay to be number one. I will be number one. We'll be number one.
You are number one.
I'm number one. I'm the number one Liam Michael Zollo out there. That's all I'll say. But then what I'm getting at is it more about the simplistic conversation I was just having with myself? Like, my mobility is not great with my hands. Is it saying that to myself and then going, and I'll work on it?
Yeah, I think that there's, when you're learning how to walk and you take a step and you fall flat on your face. When you're a child, you just get back up and you continue to walk and you become a very good walker. Same application as an adult, but we just have the critical mind going on to us. Let go of the criticism and then just do the practice. Yeah. And you will allow whatever's supposed to be happening in your gymnastics, it will show up. So you go, there's the critical mind, I'm going to let go of you, but I'm going to take a step again. Yeah. And when we lose the fear of failing and find the love of learning, let me tell you, your world will rock. Exactly. And you just be learning till you die. Yeah. How good's that?
It's the best thing ever.
You probably do look funny in a G-string, though. So if you're doing gymnastics...
I'm not in a G-string that no one knows about. I'm back in my room again, singing and dancing, and this time in my G-string.
If you're wondering, then your little voice is probably right.
I got the vision.
Well, don't tell Emily, my lovely partner, that I'm using her G-strings and I'm in the...
Don't they have a leotard that is...
No, it's not the same thing. It's gymnastic strength training, like muscle ups. Have you seen those rings? Okay. Yeah, they're pretty strong people there, but they might wear their leotards.
Fake it till you make it.
I'm going to get one tomorrow. You've got to embody it, Sheena. You've got to have to wear the G-string in order to think like a gymnastics guru. Yeah. But it's just funny to see. Like, I think that what people do is that as people, I criticize. Yeah. And it's good to have that moment of self-awareness. Like, they just brought to light that little bit of a gold nugget for myself. That it's okay to have that lacking mobility in my shoulders and to go one step further. I know where I am. I know where I am now, and I know how to work on it to go to where I want to be. Yeah. And
being in that.
Being
in that. Yeah. So the more you're in that, the allowance of that expression will come through quicker. Yeah. So the doubt will not override your learning. Because that is very conditioned. Yeah. And so you go, okay, well, I'm just going to be in the learning. Yeah. And that is where the ease rises. So the dis-ease is when your mind, your body, and your heart is not in alignment. Yeah. And so you go, okay, well, I don't want dis-ease. You've just explained beautifully what dis-ease creates. And so that's what we're trying to do with Evolve Yourself Institute, is give tools and strategies that are tangible, that you can walk away with and say, hey, I can empower my life. I can empower my own knowing and my own responsibility to life. And that is really beautiful. It's a beautiful space to be playing in. I'm a big fan, so I go, yeah. You know, feeding what you love. You spoke of that before. Was, you know, every time something resonates, run with it and feed that love bubble. Are you kidding? That cultivates goodness, and you don't have to. You know, there's no right or wrong in what we're doing in life. You know, there's not even, doing over there, let's do that, because that's the right thing. If you constantly feed that inner voice of what makes you hum, humming will express through you. And that's really beautiful.
You just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Look. That's wonderful. That's a beautiful analogy.
That is a great analogy.
Yeah.
And also, when you do feel that way and you're on the right path, things just open up for you. Like, life just gets really easy when you follow what it is that makes you light up.
Makes you hum. Makes you hum. It's a great director. It's an incredible navigator. And so you go, okay, well, I might have a glass of wine tonight and then sit and have 3 glasses of wine because it gave me relief. But on the big picture, does it make me hum? And so then you're starting to listen not to the right diet, the wrong diet, what's right for her. You're starting to listen to this one. So whether it's physical aspirations, whether it's emotional aspirations, psychological or spiritual, aligning all of the experience of being human allows the humanity to rise.
Yeah.
So the humanity is all the good stuff we've got.
Yeah.
You know, it's the compassion, it's the connection, it's the all of the things that we are essentially here. We're here to create stuff. We think it's so much more different. You know, we're out warring and, you know, you go, okay, well, that's not really necessary. We don't have to. That's dis-ease, dysfunction.
Exactly right.
So be the ripple, I say. You be that little pebble and you go, you take that responsibility, embrace tools that work and align and try stuff on. Be curious like you were as a child. Or if you're in pain, come and find those tools. Come and have a chat and do those things. Start speaking about your vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is an incredible, powerful doorway through the space of the heart. Rock it on.
Definitely.
So you go, and you know, that's beautiful. I think
I'm gathering 2 words from this
Marie?
lovely lady.
Yeah.
I was going to say Louise. I was going to go, geez, Louise again, but I've used that like 4 or 5 times, so I'm like, I'm going back to Marie, right?
Marie.
Excellent. No. Actually, that's not the wrong choice of word. Action and experience.
Yeah.
They're the 2 words that I'm gathering from, you know, our conversation together. Just continuously having action, because procrastination is that's what leads to overthinking and more fear. So it's action is the one that counteracts that. And experience. Be willing to experience. That's where you get the learning.
Well, it starts with action and then you get the experience.
Yeah.
And so having action is being in the present. And that's what I got from you, is really owning the present moment and not getting the voices or the past or the future in the way, so that you can live your fullest expression.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Beautiful. And all of those things play out. You know, there is a state of action within the body, but it's also actioning being still. So that is an action.
Wow.
Yeah?
That's deep.
So that is an action. And that stillness allows all of the other actions to take place.
That's
yay.
That's what they say in yoga. Shavasana is like laying down on the ground, and that's like the most difficult pose. They call it a pose because you have to give your body that allowance. And some people think it's time to close their eyes, but no, you're supposed to, you know, sit in this pose, and that takes effort to sit without any
it's so
thought
funny.
Or
Exactly right. Because I'm obviously the manager at this Fitness First, right? So I'm allowed to go and do what I want to do, you know, as long as it's in the gym in terms of exercise.
Yeah.
But I'm doing yoga like once a week now with one of the other personal training managers from another gym. And they do the Shavasana where you just lie down. As soon as I lie down, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to be thinking that I've got to go back to work. I'm just lying here, I'm on the clock, blah, 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 blah. All these things come up. And that's a hard thing. It's what Sheena said. It's very difficult just to sit there and be.
Yeah. We have been doing for a very long time.
But I'm my own boss. I'm my own boss. Like, I get to the work when I need to get to the work, and I'm still thinking that I've got to go do it when I can just to lie is just
That's a real
difficult
gift you can give to yourself. You know, in the
I'm
space
happy
of
to do it.
receiving and the space of allowance.
Yeah.
The allowance allows that to do what it's born to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're empowering your own self. Like, you're thinking about other people, but you should really just be thinking about
Fill my own glass.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly
Going
right.
back to what Marie said at the very beginning.
Yeah. Jeez
Fill your
Louise.
cup.
Yeah.
Fill your cup, you know, and find out how. So, and it's an integrated life. So
Yeah.
it's an internal state which then is able to integrate. And so when you can integrate it, you're able to communicate more authentically. You're able to have conversations which are serving your life. You're not caught up in stuff going on. And so the integration of the responsibility I have within this dance is the beauty. That's the gift of being human. We get to share experiences. And so if I'm not there for it, I may as well be in my grave.
Yeah.
And we live a very short time, so we may as well enjoy it and experience it.
Yeah.
So, and not always is it full of rainbows, fairy floss, and, you know, lovely things. But if I'm there for the sadness, it allows it to rain, and then I've got beautiful blue skies. But that's an experience.
Yeah.
If I'm there for the pain, I'm giving it space to process. Imagine a cloud coming to the mountains filled with water, gets heavier and heavier and can't release. Well, that's what we do with our emotions. And we've done it through histories of time and space. You're kidding? Passed down through your DNA. You're kidding? Your parents held on to pain. They know it.
Yeah.
So then when you allow it to release within this, well, then you're allowing your lightness. You can see more, sense more, and be more. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, very powerful. There's so many gold nuggets coming through here.
Marie, seriously. So let's talk a little bit back about Evolve Institute.
Yes.
So you are speaking to both nurses and teachers and individuals.
Yes.
So how do we get in touch with you, and what kind of programs do you offer? And
so for the teacher community, we have a one-day workshop, Get Your School on Board. We want every school in Australia understanding why they want to play with these tools.
yeah, we need to get the Beer Man and Marie together.
Yeah.
Tim Heineke.
Oh, Tim Heineke.
Tim Heineke, if you're out there, remember you called him the Beer Man.
I was like, who's
Tim
that?
and Marie need to get together because
Yeah.
he's similar.
Yes.
He teaches teachers how to be the better version of themselves.
Beautiful.
So we're going to connect Tim Heineke and Marie together.
Yep.
What else?
And so for the nurses, get a nursing board on board, or you can just choose to do an online program. So we have an online program which runs for nurses, and it supports their own understanding of themselves, so they can start filling up their own cup, move beyond the stress and disease which is. In those cultures, it's rife. And so we want empowered people looking after sick people. We want empowered teachers empowering students. And so this is, I suppose, it's wonderful to be accredited. We've been accredited by both of those institutions, which is huge. And so that accreditation is wonderful for us, and it speaks volumes. They're able to acquire CPD points and professional development points.
Wow.
And so that's a game changer, where these industries are taking self-awareness or well-being seriously. You know, you see companies like Atlassian or Google, and you even go to Harvard. Their first year of business studies is self-awareness now.
Wow.
And so, high five that.
that.
So the top down, where the money talks, is starting to see this as an incredible a foundation to the well-being of their company, and that's productivity within value of financial remuneration. Well, then the grassroots will start to experience that as well, and that's what we are supporting within both of those industries. And so we want people to realise the importance of well people create well businesses, and understanding themselves is number one. You cannot. I went to Edutech 2017, and a gentleman by the name of Phil Lambert was having a discussion on. He did the research on. He was commissioned by UNESCO, United Nations, to have a look at all of the curriculums around the world and what type of design would be for the future child of tomorrow. And what they came up with was it was all the soft skills were number one.
What's a soft skill?
So all your soft skill is communication, connection, empathy, emotional intelligence, and all of the things in which we share within EYI are foundation in that. They allow that to rise within the individual. So woohoo! I say it's a game changer.
Definitely.
So Evolve Yourself Institute, what's
Yes.
the URL?
EYI.global.
EYI.global.
Come and play with us.
Can
It's all
I ask
about
as
that.
well about your book?
Yes.
What's your book called, and what is it about self-awareness?
Yes.
What's it
so
called
it's
then?
called Discover Worlds Within, and it's the manual in which we operate within our system of self. And so that was a manual of the self, really, and it's told through a little bit of my story, but it embraces practices and processes where people can understand themselves a little bit more and listening to their own intuition and hearing that voice. And so we use that as a manual, and that is designed as a manual, because I thought, imagine if everyone knew this stuff. I tell you what, we're going to be looking at a pretty beautiful world. And when I really discovered true love for myself, I saw love in everyone I looked at. And that when I lost the judgment of myself, I lost the judgment of everything I looked at.
Definitely.
And so my inner world became my external reality. That changed. What rises out of that is inspiration. What rises out of that is creation. What rises out of that is potentiality. What rises out of that, who the hell knows? And so it goes, let's play and, communicate, connect. And
Well, look at the end result is this like vibrant woman, full of energy, full of wisdom. You need to be on the stage. You need to be on a global stage. We're on a global stage now, but
Yes.
As you said,
Thank
can
you.
we get your book through Amazon or anything like
Through
that?
our site, so
Through your site.
EYI.global.
Global, yes.
Come and play with us with a 30-day challenge. We've got lots of things going on, but specifically the two markets, if you know teachers and nurses, come and play. And then individuals, we've got a 30-day challenge which operates 3 or 4 times a year, and that is a 30-day challenge where you're able to discover more of yourself on an app. So it takes you through a process. And it is more than mindfulness. It is understanding your inner technology with the latest in science and neuroscience, and then the practices and processes which allow that understanding to unfold. And so,
there's another book out there that you could read. It's widely famous. And it's called its tagline is The Guide to Self-Awareness.
Yes.
And the actual title itself is called The Humble Hero. It's written by this unknown character out there. So I will not name his name because it would be it's me, all right, guys.
I love the title.
The Humble Hero. I wrote a book recently, and I'd love for you to read it because it's called The Guide to Self-Awareness. I don't even have a coffee. I've got coffee in the brain now. I don't have a copy on me because I have to get them from the United States. Amazon.
Amazing.
But I'd love for you to read it. The Humble Hero, it's the journey.
It'd be my honor. Yeah, it'd be beautiful. I love it.
And I would love to read your book as well. That's what I was asking. So The Humble Hero, and what's your title of your book?
Discover Worlds Within. Discover
Worlds Within, self-awareness, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, Louise from the Evolve Institute.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute privilege.
Evolve yourself.
Oh, my apologies.
Evolve yourself.
I wasn't
Institute.
present then, was I?
No, you
I wasn't
weren't.
in my flow state. Do you have any final questions?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for your energy and your vibrant personality and for joining us today. We had an extra special time today because normally we have 2 guests in, but we got to have a really long conversation with you.
And we recorded it.
We did record.
How good is that? We recorded it and we're
I'm
live.
going to trust from now on that you know exactly what
That's
you're
the
doing.
new pattern that you're going to be
That
working
is
on.
a new pattern.
And I'll work on my pattern of recording it, okay?
Thanks,
buddy.
team.
Thank you so much. I really
Well done
appreciate
to
your
you
time.
guys.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, should we call it a day? Is that what we're doing, buddy?
What's
We're
up?
calling it a day. Thanks, guys, for listening. We'll see you next week.